Dummy Swish Pod. The
Yes,
boys are back.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Another week of rugby, another podcast, just here to give you those unfiltered rugby opinions. A
Yeah.
podcast divided this week, divided by the first match. Hard lines have been set, sides have been chosen, and might not be too friendly.
I love it. I love it, Collins. Well, you said it, man. Look, I think that Sharks Lions game was an interesting one. It was close to home, between the two of us. So I'm just happy I got the W, man.
I'm a disgruntled supporter in this one. I'm going to be one of those unrational guys that throws his toys out the cot and, get out my club. I'm going to be one of those guys today. Round two, it started with Sharks versus Lions. And I mean, from immediately unforced errors, Zeilinger booting, under a minute, he's booting the clearance into PJ Boateng. I think that foreshadowed everything that was going to go on in this one. It was just not a great start.
Yeah, it wasn't a good start, not ideal. And I think just that game for me was a bit of a weird one. It didn't seem like, fine, for the Sharks, they got the win. But it just at times, there was just no flow to that game, man. It's just so much stop-start.
Yeah.
And it just... for me, just from the outside looking in, I kind of feel like the Lions right now are more than just their worst enemies. It just looks like the wheels are coming off, from where they used to be, and they're struggling. And it goes back to my question that I had for you last week about the halfbacks.
This is the thing. You were asking the right questions last week, And I didn't see it coming. I must admit, I didn't see this one coming, but you were asking the right questions, every club is like this. You go through rebuilding phases. You look sort of Stormers, clearinghouse, new culture, that kind of thing. You look at the Bulls, Jake White's always going to bring change, positive or negative, he's always going to bring change. You get the Sharks, the Rock Nation thing, their sort of thing, what they're doing. And the Lions just seem to be stuck in the middle of everything. Yeah. Because, it's a situation where it's like they're not bringing in new guys. So you don't know, do they have the backing? Do they have the funds? There seems to be quite a few contract disputes. So again, it's like, what are we doing? Do we have the funds? Are we going to go for this? It's like, even this whole competition, I feel like for them, it's an exercise, which I said last week, in seeing what we have, seeing the youngsters, seeing, who are we going to retain on their contracts. And it's like, as a supporter, you want them to win. You want the goal of the whole thing to be winning the game. And it's just disappointing when you see a Sharks team that, they've clearly made that their goal. And you're competing with them coming into this one. Even you look at the Sharks, you look at the Lions lineup, it's not frightening. It's not great.
Yeah. And look, I completely agree with you. Even, again, yes, I asked about the halfbacks. And then, look, you asked about Berger Ordendal. He came back last week off the bench. Because, honestly speaking, I'm not convinced about Dan Creel, at inside center. I feel like there's a big disconnect there between him and Simelane there in the backs. The funny thing about this Lions team is that it just seems like, okay, the loose forward, the loose trio is strong. You can't question their loose trio. To be honest, look at the overall performance of their loose trio. I think they've got a good combination. Horn, they've got Palsa, Chituka. They're looking good, but then and even up front, they're not overnight a bad team. I feel like the disconnect starts happening from 9, then at 10, and then at 12.
Yes,
because
I made a note of the same thing where it's that whole, because that's the base of where you're playing from, that 90 and 12, and it just looks, it's uninspiring. Neither one of those players are sort of flair players, not even, I mean, in terms of Zeilinger, you don't know how are you playing, which is what we went to last week. So, I mean, it's not great. And I mean, conversely, you look at when a guy like Jaden Hendricks came on, and then, how he just lifted up play, and you even saw the shift from what Grant Williams was giving. It just shows what this is what this guy's about. Where with us, it's like, what is this guy about?
And the one thing, I think one phrase that came to mind when I was watching that game is no killer instinct, because it's not like, and this is my honest sort of observation here, is that it's not like the Lions didn't have opportunities, because yes, as much as Sharks, we got ahead on the scoreboard, I wasn't too comfortable, because in my mind I was thinking that, listen, the Lions being the Lions that we've come to know in recent times, this is a Lions team that's not going to go away. They're going to come back at you and they can cut you up. But again, they weren't able to do that. And this is where now, I believe this is where now you start seeing the true value of a player like Alton Yankees in that Lions team, because for me, it's no coincidence that this sort of dip that they're in, especially from an attacking flair point of view, is coinciding with him not being there, and it doesn't hurt. It hurts their sort of aspirations not having a Gianni Lombard, fit and available to play as well, But look, the Lions, I think they have a lot of questions to ask themselves and answer. From a Sharks perspective as well. Yes, we got the win. We're happy for that. But I'm also still, I'm not totally convinced, because I feel like they haven't really found their balance. There's some good signs, good sparks here and there, but there's still a lot. I think there's still a long way for them to go. And coming up against the Bulls this weekend, it's a big one, definitely for them.
Yeah, because let's see who the big dog is.
Yeah, true. Because even in the Sharks play, there's just too many errors, unforced errors. But you could see at times they were putting it together nicely. When they were shifting the ball,
you can see, the objective is to keep the ball alive with them.
Yeah, and when they get it right, I won't lie. When they get it right, they look threatening, and they look very, very dangerous. It's just a couple of errors here and there that I think they can fix. But overall, I can't really question the Sharks play. I was happy. I think Ox is slowly now working his way in the scrum, finding his feet, and finding that level of dominance. I think they still,
especially against Kalusadi this week, which was sort of something where he came on. He came on in the Bulls game and he turned the scrums around, and then it's to start in this one, and it's sort of the opposite situation. So it's, even the Lions props. It's not. You can see Vian Herbst is I think he's back at the Sharks now.
Sharks, yeah.
He was at the Lions for a period of time, and it's like, these are guys you can use. We have sort of youngsters coming off the bench where I have faith in Klapakanya, but the other guys is like not so much.
Yeah, they're not. I don't feel like they're there yet. And look, I think maybe in a few games' time we could be eating some humble pie, or even maybe in a season's time, because look, they have to play to get that experience, to get better, but
we want to win now.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say. You can't sacrifice the results. I don't think any team in this day and age, especially in the professional era, can be in that position where they're prepared to sacrifice results. And I think that's the big concern for the Lions, in my perspective. With the locks that you guys have, they're good, yes, but I just don't see that dominance.
You saw what Willem Alberts, what he sort of brings. You saw what he brings to the whole setup. in a week like this where he's not there. I mean, the locks, I don't know. I feel I'm relatively okay with it, but up front and the loose forwards is sort of where I feel like it's just a bit. It's not enough. It's not. I mean, you've got Yaku Creel still injured. You've got Rudolph Smith, still injured. But these are the type of guys that we need, and I feel like it's just we're just trying to buy time until we can compete, which is it's not ideal. I think Schoeman, we haven't seen Schoeman. I think that's also another contract issue.
Yeah, look, even though I never really rated Schoeman initially, but he brings something different, and he brings that fight, he brings that dog, to the game. And again, I'll repeat this. I said this last week about Chituka, is that they need to be careful not to play that guy into the ground, because the fact of the matter is this, is that he's carries, and again, even this week, I can't fault him. He's very strong in the contact. His carries are with purpose. He gets that over that advantage line. He really does make an impact, but he can't do that alone. And then Horn comes in. I feel, okay, maybe the balance, yes, they've got right, but the individual sort of lifting of play, that's where I can put a question mark on a guy like Horn, where, in glimpse.
That's the thing, because for me, it's like I saw him, he scored just after halftime, and I didn't even know he was playing. I didn't know he was playing up until that point. So, I mean, then, I think he got a bit lost in the sauce, especially in the first half.
And Pulsar too, I feel like he's the qualities, no doubt they're there, but it's just it's very difficult to put your finger on what it is that's not allowing these guys to sort of to turn it up and turn it on, because we know that they can do it. Is it a game plan? Because is it a confidence issue? Because I feel like, take it maybe to last season with the Currie Cup and Super Rugby Unlocked. Maybe you still have some of those same guys in there, but then you have a Willem Alberts as an example in there in the pack to bring that hard edge, and then you've got your Yankees to bring that creativity, and your Burger Odendaal in the midfield as well. And then let's say potentially a Dylan Smith at 9. It looks like it's a completely different Lions team, and it's a very dangerous Lions team. And then even at fullback, I feel, geez, Evia Falloon, for me, he leaves a lot to be desired, because he just hasn't kicked. He really hasn't, because even I think like some of the mistakes that he was making at the back.
Yeah, that's the thing. For me, the one word for this game for the Lions was execution. There's just too many knock-ons, too many penalties, too many. I mean, you had if we go back to right to the beginning, they had a chance to get out of their 22. Zeilinger, he doesn't kick the ball far enough. Box kicks between 9 and 10, going out on the full, putting us, essentially back into the 22. It's like we couldn't get out at that point. Sharks score early on, and they take the lead just there due to poor execution, from the beginning. I mean, fine, we got back into it with the Maul try of our own, but I mean, it's like there's just patches in the game where it's just the execution is lacking. They got caught under the whistle for an extended period of time, which led to that yellow. It's just, and I mean, even if we go back to Sadi and the scrums, that's execution. It's a lot of these things are sort of all by your own doing. There was a time where, especially in the first half, I mean, you've got to capitalize on errors. Bosch doesn't kick it out, but Skosan knocks it on.
Yeah, and he gives them, because that was a penalty, and then he gave the Sharks a scrum, so I mean, they'll take that any day. It's just either going to be a line out. It wasn't a line out, it was a scrum for them, attacking scrum. They'll take that any day. And credit to the Sharks for the endeavor that they showed, because I feel like they really wanted to attack, you know, and they'd be stupid not to, because of the strike force that they have. You know, Fassi was just ever present. For me, he just, I feel like he just keeps on growing, you know, and he's slowly staking a claim as the premier fullback in South Africa. You know, we just have to see. I think this weekend is going to be a real test from a tactical point of view. You know, then Yao Penle as well. I think he also, you know, he showed his work rate. You can't question that. You know, you can't question his work rate. The only guy that I'm really, I'd say, or two guys that I'm concerned about really in that Sharks backline is Spoonkosi, who just seems like he's in no man's land, if that makes sense. If I just say that about his play,
yeah.
Is that
but he still gets involved. You still see him. I don't know if that's by design, where okay, the coaches are, you know, they're running plays for this, you know, they're running plays for their man, where they're like, okay, we've got to utilize him. We're gonna, from a scrum, instead of taking it from 10, we're gonna get him cutting in from the wing, or, you know, they're getting him involved in the play. So I don't know if it's either that or it's him by his own accord getting involved. But either way, you know, you love to see the guy off the wing getting in the mix.
Yes, look, and look, you have to acknowledge that he does get involved. You know, I think where I'm coming from is mainly he hasn't added anything to his repertoire. You know, because even his step is very predictable. It's just taking too much time. That little jump in the air. You know, it's. The thing is, I feel like he's got to add more to his game in order for him to really become number one premier winger in a Springbok wing. Number two, you become sort of one that you cannot leave out of your Springbok squad, especially looking at British and Irish Lions. Because let's be honest, he has to bring more. You know, I think he's got those touches. He definitely does, but maybe it's a confidence thing in him not yet backing himself to try those, you know, putting the ball on the ground, you know, chipping and chasing, things like that, finding alternative ways to get through the man. Because physicality is one thing, you know, is that you're not always going to be physically dominant, you know, and because everybody trains, everybody's conditioned, you see. So I just feel like he just needs to bring more to his play. And then Jeremy Ward as well. Yes, he's solid enough at center, and testament to that, you know, even so he was subbed off with moving through to 12 and Werner Kok coming in at outside center, you know, which I feel that's a bit of that's an interesting sort of development there that I want to keep my eye on, because it really, for me, it speaks to the fact that they understand that, you know, they can only get so much out of Jeremy Ward, you know, as a 12.
I don't know. I felt like, okay, I obviously, you know, he came with big reps coming from, I think he was under 20 captain, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Then you've got a situation where Sharks sort of lacking in that sort of area. And so he was like the more highly regarded of the sort of guys that could fill in there, and he didn't take the chance. It seemed like Lowe was the one that was taking the chance more than him. But I feel like this game he's done better than when I have seen him before. He got over for that try, but I mean, that try, I think there was like five guys could have scored that try in that situation. Which again, the Lions, they just got dragged into the middle of the field and then overlap blindside, which was quite shocking. But I feel like Ward, I don't know, from where I've seen, it's gotten better.
Yes, I agree. He has gotten better, but I don't feel like he has that punch. Maybe I'm not necessarily comparing apples to apples here, because
not everybody is Simelane. Not every team can have a Simelane, I think.
You know, so in that regard, okay, you know, and then Kern Bosch as well, I think he's just doing enough to at the moment, he's just doing enough to keep the start, to keep that 10 jersey away from Libok. fine, his goal kicking, you can't take that away from him. He's a very good goal kicker. But
getting an assistance from the referee as well with his goal kicking, which was sort of quite shocking.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to make a difference to the result, Chorus. I'm just saying.
You never know. You never know. That 3 points, it could have spurred the boys on. It could have put hope in their hearts.
True. You never know. But I just feel like, with him, he also needs to elevate his play. We know, and I think it goes right through both sides, Lions and Sharks. There needs to be an elevation of play, because I felt like from the start that we had round one, the start that we had round one with all the teams, it looked promising, because you could see that, okay, this is the intensity is up a notch. You can see there's something that's being played for here. And then to this weekend, I think even both games this weekend,
it's patches. It's like patches of play where you see like, okay, these guys are doing something here. And then, I mean, you get, if you're talking about still first half, you've got, again, Lions mistake, Zeilinger, free kick, how do you get charged out for a free kick? I mean, then Sharks again bringing in that ball in hand style. They got it moving through the hands. And I think this is where we're seeing that Ox has stepped up his game, especially in the ball carrying, especially with getting the hands free and having a go. I mean, for a long time on this podcast, we were sort of talking about the lock situation with the Sharks, and it seems like Hugo has come in and sort of sorted that whole, it looks like they found their number 4 and 5, which they were struggling with for a long time, which is quite promising.
Yeah, which looks good. It looks good. Can't question the locking pair. I think they're good. It's from a loose forward perspective. I think Polisi is slowly finding his feet, and I like it. The reason why I say this is that he needs to build nicely into the test window, and he just needs to keep his head down and keep working hard, because he's doing the dirty work. Yes, that one maul that they tried, and they tried almost the same move as they tried the other week, except this was the reverse side, going down the blind side, not necessarily the open side. It almost worked out. That's the only thing that I can pick up there and say, maybe that execution could have been a bit more patient on that pass, or hung it up in the air instead of pushing it. Then look, Noche, I feel as well, he's sort of for a while on this podcast, I've been bagging him because we know he can do better, and I think he's slowly starting to come to the fore, come to the party. And then you've got Henko Fenta, who I feel he's just been, you know what you're going to get from him. He's always going to be solid. Yes, he'll make those mistakes. He will get the yellow card on the odd occasion, which he did. And I feel like they're a bit more settled, from a loose trio combination, and they know what they want to do. I just feel like it's just now putting that all together consistently for 80 minutes from a Sharks perspective.
Yeah, it's that thing of patches. I mean, Lions, Evia for you, and when he sort of had his moment of brilliance, handing off Grant Williams and getting that. I think it was Jeremy Ward as well, and then he got it to Palisade. So it was like, it's that same thing where how you saying you want the Sharks for 80 minutes. It's like Lions as well. It's like we have these patches where, okay, then you think they're going to kick on and get back into the game. I mean, even after halftime was when you had that sustained pressure. And I don't know, in terms of reffing, you have that Kerwin Bosch. I don't know, you can call it maybe a lapse in concentration. Then you have one thing with the Lions, I felt like, okay, maybe this is just me supporting my team, but I felt like, you're getting advantage and then you're going backwards and it's advantage over. Then Sharks had an opportunity, and then they sort of broke blindside and it looked like it was on, and then they knocked it on, and then it was no advantage over and they got called back. And then the same situation where both teams got caught under the whistle in their own 22 for periods in that game, where you just feel like, this is sort of ref imposed, or is this the players? Where sustained pressure in the 22 and then guys are getting yellow cards. It's I don't know if that's down to the ref, and I feel like it was, because it happened to the same, you know, it happened to both teams.
Yeah, I think it's, I agree with you there. You know, slight inconsistencies from the referee perspective, you know, but at the same time, it's this, you know, I think a lot of the times you want to take the ref out of the equation as a team, you know, and it boils down to your discipline. It boils down to the communication. And then equally at the same time is that when you have a team under pressure like that and they're under the whistle, you have to punish them. You have to punish them. And the Lions, oh my goodness. I felt sorry for the Lions, because there was when I think the Sharks were down to 13 at a stage.
Yeah, they were, and they just didn't capitalize. That was after half time.
And they didn't capitalize. You know, they had that maul where you thought maybe they could have gone for a scrum, you know, where they went for the line out. And look, I understand why they went for the maul, because they scored from a maul. So, you know, the thinking there is that, okay, this is where we've got them, you know, and they just didn't execute. And they got repelled and got stopped, you know, use it or lose it. It was just, you know, yeah. And then, and I feel like for the Sharks in that situation, because that scrum in their 22, I think it was a masterstroke by the coach, you know, whether that be injury enforced or whether it was already decided that Grant Williams would come off for Jaden Hendrickse. I feel like when Hendrickse came on,
yeah, his impact was immediate.
Yes, you know, because I felt the longer, not in Grant Williams had a good game, yes,
but they, I mean, even the commentators had some certain comments for him.
Yeah, they did, you know, and they're right. You know, his box kicking was a bit, you know, too slow. A different team will put him under immense pressure and will charge those kicks down, you know. And when Hendrickse came on at that moment, after that failed line-out drive by the Lions, he came on and immediately put the Sharks on the front foot, you know, transferred pressure immediately, attackingly, not just by kicking, he ran it out. And I feel like Hendrickse came on and he basically helped close off that game, you know, and secure that win for the Sharks, because up until then, look, I was, you know, I know I tagged you in a few comments, you know, during the game, but up until then, you know, I was really, you know, I wasn't so sure that the Sharks were gonna pull this one off, you know. But credit to Jaden Hendrickse, I felt like his impact was big, you know, and it's good to see. I was happy with. I think JJ van der Merwe, I think what they're doing with him is right. It's good for his career.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he came out, you know, and said that, you know, he maybe wasn't working as hard as he should be. You know, having played at schoolboy level and just being sort of above everyone else in terms of physicality, and he'd have a run and then, in his words, chill for a bit and then have another go at it. So, you know, I think he's had to cut weight and sort of work on his work ethic and mental strength as well, which I think, I mean, it shows with younger players. I mean, these vets, they're mentally strong. They're not just going to sit there and take it.
Exactly. You know, and look, like that's what I say, that I like what the Sharks are doing with him. They're not just giving everything to him on a silver platter. He's having to work very hard for his place, you know. And then also, you know, a guy like Pepsi Buthelezi as well. I think they're falling into the same category. It's they're having to work, and I think it can only benefit them, because if you look at that Sharks team, all of a sudden, you know, you've got Ox, yes, maybe a one-test Springbok, but he's a Springbok. Thomas Eto'o is a Springbok. You know, Reniel Huro's got the pedigree. You know, then you've got Kolisi, he's a Springbok captain. Notch is a Springbok as well. You know, you've got Armin there, who's also a Springbok. So there's quality and there's class all around the team, and I think maybe that's what is sort of killing the Lions is not enough high level quality and experience.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Definitely coming into this one, like I said, the lineup was just it's non-threatening. It's non-threatening. Sort of going into the second half. Well, one comment which I also wasn't as optimistic of the Lions pulling this one out the fire, especially when the Sharks coach says we have them where we want them.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, hey, my man, it's only half time. I felt that one.
I felt like that was totally right. I think they did have us where they wanted us.
And shows the confidence in that Shark setup as well, which is important. You have to back yourself and look, it's your house. You can't allow people to come into your house and do as they please. So.
Although Chichuka did at some moments, he did have some man of the house tackles there.
No, he did.
He was applying pressure there.
No, he did. I'm just concerned. Before we move on to the next game, it's Khosan. I think I'm just. I don't know if it's because of the combination play or with Yankees not being there, but I'm slightly concerned with. Because he got subbed, and it's like, okay, I can see that why he got subbed, because he didn't really have, and there wasn't really influence. Yes, the ball didn't go to him, but it just seems like you're stuck on his wing,
Yeah, both wingers didn't have great games, to be honest. For me, like, especially looking at the second half, I was just like, the whole time I'm saying, why is Zeilinger still on? Because you've seen at that point you've seen what he offers. You've got the other Hendrikse on the bench, and I'm thinking, give him a go. Let's see if we can change this dynamic. They changed it at 9 when they brought on Vandenberg, who he looks like he needs game time. He just looks very rusty. It's not.
Yeah, he needs.
He's always going to be a game changer there, but it's like the small errors, knock-ons around the base, that sort of thing. So
he needs to play more. He needs a bit more confidence. Then I think, look, Lions need to give Hendrikse a shot at 10. Look, we've seen enough from Zeilinger. I know I have. So
I've also seen enough. I've seen enough of that 9, 10, and 12. I've seen Zeilinger's contract. I know he was on a short-term one. I think I need to call down to Ellis Park officers and have a word, because
you need to speak to your people, man.
I just don't. I don't think he's the solution at 10. So
no,
we'll see. We'll see what kind of direction the Lions take. We're going to have Willem Alberts back, and then I'm sure Yanni du Plessis as well. He was missing. So I'm sure once those sort of steadier heads get back in there, that things are bound to change, and hopefully they change.
They will.
They change for the better.
No, they will change. They will change. I believe. This season now with this Rainbow Cup, I'm all about all the teams. Yes, I'm a Shark supporter, but I want all the teams to lift their level, because we know what's coming. The British are coming, and we need everybody. Everybody needs to be switched on. All the teams. Everybody needs to be switched on, because I think we'll go into that a bit later. But I've seen some comments, people talking about we just number one for show in the world and whatnot. So, we need everybody on board, all hands on deck, and we need to shut these Brits up.
You never know. You never know whose phone could be ringing, some injuries may happen. So guys need to be, even you must keep your phone on. You never know.
Anything can happen in this life.
Next one is Stormers versus Bulls down in Cape Town. Nine changes for Stormers. Aba was injured in training. I think that was a big blow for them. They sort of had to restructure a lot of that team.
One thing I must say is, considering all the changes that the Stormers had to make, you have to give them credit. Because they still showed up, and you could see, a guy like Abner van Reenen, it was his first big game in senior rugby. He did make a few mistakes. Good thinking process, just the execution was lacking. And I think, again, it echoes his first game. It was failure to execute on opportunities, from both sides and patches, and it just, man, yeah. And then Namakaba is just so unlucky, man. We need to buy that guy, I think, a chicken and a goat, and and help him out, because I was seeing him as a potential bolter as well in the broader Springbok squad, to bring that competition and fire. It would have been an interesting battle with him and Eskom van Staden at the breakdown, but it wasn't to be. But all in all, that game, for me as well, I wasn't impressed. I was annoyed because of the stop-start nature.
Yeah, I mean, two minutes in and Kitsov calling a captain's challenge on himself, which it turned out it was much ado about really nothing. It wasn't that big a deal, but I think also, I mean, we've seen this captain's challenge also be used tactically where to try and prevent tries and the motives of it, and as you say, the stop-start, it isn't great. I mean, Stormers, I mean, your man Leolin Zas he was up against Matosh Tambwe, who was sort of the man of the week.
Yeah. No. Look, Madosh is quick, man. Madosh is fast. He's big, he's fast. He just sometimes makes stupid mistakes, like he could have had 3 tries on the day, And then, look, Zas, I think he had one good carry that I saw, where I was like, okay. I was like, yes, sir, here you are. But look, that was just a one hit,
And again, I think more about him. Yeah, I think the Stormers team, again, they unforced errors. And we've seen, I think, an identity coming from this Bulls team is that they're a counter-attacking team. We saw how fast that they got it out wide. And there was support for Madosh for the first try, but he didn't need it. He went straight through.
Yeah. And, talking about this Bulls team, like you say, the counter-attack, I really love how they've evolved, turnover ball, how they'll hurt you. They'll hurt you, turnover ball, and that's what...
Even for the second try, it was an overthrow for the line out, Stain, cross kick to Tambwe again. It's just they're clinical off that counter.
Yeah, I feel like right now in terms of that transition, when they get that turnover ball, they're very dangerous, and it's good to see, but I think their problems were highlighted with the magnifying glass this weekend up front. It was
especially, I mean, you've got a Bok front row, you're against a Bok front row, so that's really the time where you're going to come under it.
Yeah, look, I don't know what they need to try to get Trevor back, ASAP. But then as well, it's not even about Trevor; it's about who's the next guys. And I feel like the next guys right now they're not there. And the truth has to be told, they're not there, and it's going to hurt the Bulls at some point. It's going to hurt them. I hope it's this weekend against the Sharks. But they really need to fix that, and I think it's just I can say the concerning thing for me, just overall in this Rainbow Cup SA, is the hookers. Even Bonambi was struggling, with these line-out throws to some degree, this weekend, which was strange for me. I didn't expect that. A few overthrows, and it cost the Stormers, but his class pulled through at the end, but it's just, for me, this game was just, the Stormers, if they really, I'd say, take away all those injuries, I think it becomes more of an even game. The Stormers could have won it, even with the team that they had this weekend. They could have, if they had executed, they really could have won that game.
Towards the end, I mean, Peter Steph had a big chance. Van der Merwe as well. He had one where, he's obviously a good player, but I mean, there's you wonder if those are the sort of chances that fall to your Janchis, your Mapimpis. Those are the ones that puts them on that global stage as the best wingers in the world.
Yeah.
And those I mean, that's the type of thing that's missing for the Stormers, especially like backline with injuries and that. And I mean, if we're talking about next man up, I mean, Ruiz, he had a good game. He got over for a try as well, when they took advantage of that Bok front row. Question for me now, is Hendricks the best number 12 in the country?
At the moment, as we speak, I'd say yes. I'd say yes. Even though this weekend he didn't really shoot out the lights, but he still brought that stability, if you know what I mean, to the Bulls backline. And if we're talking about number 12s that are in the country right now, then yeah, he's the best number 12 that we have in the country, in my view.
Further abroad, if we're talking about Dialendi, I mean, you've got the series up. Do you pick the guy that's got a hot hand, or are you picking the tried and tested?
Look, I'd pick tried and tested. But that doesn't mean I don't give Hendricks a look in, into being the.
It is a long series, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I don't give him a look in, because he can still potentially still be in the squad and play against the British and Irish Lions when they play against the Bulls, and also come back into the Springbok squad, bring some insight, because he is a Springbok himself, so. But in terms of I don't think, yes, Hendricks has been a revelation, but I don't think he's been tested enough in different ways by different types of players for us to really say that, okay, international at number 12, he is the real deal. That's what we still need to see. And I think, I think I'll go out to Nalumia and say, I think he makes the squad, and he plays the midweek game for the Bulls against the British and Irish Lions, and that's where the real test is going to be for him against them. And if he passes that test, then he ups his stock big time.
Yeah, Tambwe again, another cross kick he got over. And then, I mean, from there, it was just about trading penalties and sort of sustain pressure and sort of trying to keep the Stormers out and keep the win. Van Staden, big game. I mean, if we're talking about hookers as well, Grobler, I think, he was sort of, for me, put up his hand in terms of hookers in this country, Not much else to take from the game. Not much else. I feel like it was more intense than the first game, which I think is partly because of the Lions and them not trying to win. But that's all I have to take away from the game. Besides that,
for me, the fight of the Bulls, the fight of the Bulls to the hunger, that they just didn't want to let that game go, because easily, they could have been put. That, like I said, that game was there for the Stormers to take. It was there for them to win. They survived that onslaught, because they were under immense pressure and they just kept on pulling through. Lizo Koboka, again, I felt he showed his impact. Yes, I think at scrum time they were definitely under pressure, but even through that pressure, he still managed to step up in the scrums, the crucial scrum that counted close to the end there. But his general play as well and his overall impact in the game, I think, he's a guy the Bulls can be grateful that they have, and I don't see how he cannot be starting this weekend against the Sharks. I think they really need to go with their strongest possible front row this coming weekend if they are to really just put a marker down and take this game against the Sharks. But like you say, the Stormers Bulls game, there's nothing more. There's nothing else in that game, that really stood out, that makes you think, okay, one thing for sure, Peter Steph, Peter Steff he's the man of that house. You know, I know Kitsoff is the captain, but Peter Steff he's the man of that house because, man, that guy, he plays. He's in everything. You know, he's big. He's a big player, and it's good that we have him back. You know, especially from
it's the same way Vermeulen drives the Bulls. It's the same way, and it's good to have him back. So
yeah.
Just looking at it, you can just see a few combinations that's what sort of caught my eye as well, where you're just looking at combinations, looking forward to say, okay, is this sort of something for the box? Other news of the week regarding the Stormers, you've got Augustus. He's on his way out. And it circled back to JJ van der Merch, where they talked about his physicality and not necessarily needing the hard work at that level, and they've sort of linked his progress and what he's needed to do with Augustus, and saying maybe he needs a new surrounding, a new training program, new style of coaching, and he can come back to the Stormers as a better player.
Yeah, I don't think it can be a bad thing, for him. I think maybe things have gotten a bit stale for him being there, and he hasn't been able to find that next sort of gear, because let's not lie to ourselves. He's one player that has shown promise in glimpses where you can see that, okay, he's got that physicality, strong ball carrying. If you look at 2019 Super Rugby, even, when he was introduced into the scene, you could see that there's something special about him, but he just hasn't been able to find that again. And look, yes, money is a good motivator, so of course he'll go and secure the bag, but at the same time, I think the change of scene, absolutely, I don't think it'll do him any harm. I think it'll help him, especially Northern Hemisphere, being a loose forward I think it'll help him tighten up on those micro skills that forwards need, and he can come back a better player.
Yeah, really definitely. So. I think it's also, he's 23, so it's a good age to go over. So hopefully he can come back a more well-rounded player, which we have seen guys come back into. Another one in the news, we've got I don't know if this was clickbait, or I don't know if this was sort of outrage marketing or what was the motive for this one, but I definitely think I don't know if this can be someone's true opinions. I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. You've got a writer coming out and saying that the Springboks have hid themselves. They've hid themselves, and they've tagged the competition to remain as number one ranked team. And they don't see where our confidence. They don't see what is this confidence that you guys are just going to beat the Lions.
Yeah. Look, I think that particular writer, we won't mention his name, but I feel like that writer doesn't have an understanding of.
I thought he was the All Black fullback at first, but
I also thought so. I was like, hey, this guy. Because that's the picture that I saw. I saw a picture of the All Black fullback, and I was like, really? I was like, so you're out here like this, Then realized that it wasn't. But I think it's just somebody that doesn't have a full understanding of the South African climate and a full understanding of actually how hard the pandemic had hit us, considering
definitely
as well the regulations around that, the travel restrictions for South Africa and all those things. I think you really took it out of context. But what irked me even more was him going as far as saying that, we only won the rugby championship in the 10th year, and it only because it was watered down and whatever, and all those nice things. And the fact of the matter is that we became world champions by doing it the hard way. We did it the hard way. If they want, we can and rightly question New Zealand's two back-to-back championships or World Cups. The 2011 one is a World Cup they shouldn't have won. We know we can easily go out and say that they were effectively helped by Bryce Lawrence making sure South Africa doesn't progress into the semi-finals because we were going to beat them at home, and we were going to win against France in New Zealand, and we were going to be the first team to win back-to-back. So then it's just that writer doesn't know anything about South Africa.
For me, it's like, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? I mean, you're not in a situation where you can play. This is not New Zealand. We don't have the same population. We don't have the same structures in place. We're dealing with Africa and an African situation where,
he should have just come out and say, I miss the Springboks. That's all he needed to say, because clearly he misses the Springboks, because otherwise he wasn't going to write such rubbish, But I liked the, I saw a tweet, a response by Rassi Erasmus, where he spoke about how a lion doesn't concern himself with the opinion of a sheep. I love that one, because it's true. And look, underestimate the Springboks at your own peril. That's all I'm going to say. And that's why I'm all about, let's have all our teams, they need to lift their level. They need to get up there. They need to lift their intensity, because, everybody, and I think we are in a position of power because everybody has basically written South Africa off in saying that, we haven't played, etc., etc. So, man, the guy can just, can go have fun with sheep.
Yeah, I mean, it's poor comments for me at the end of the day. And as well, my thing is, why are you so concerned about another team's confidence coming into the thing? Why are you so, are we supposed to come into the tour unsure of ourselves? As world champions, are we supposed to come into a situation and be like, this is going to be difficult, I don't know if we're going to win this? What sort of mentality do you want the Boks to have going into this?
Yeah, exactly. We're not meek. We're not a meek team, So basically, I think this writer, I think he's from New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think it's from New Zealand. I think he's just bitter about the fact that Argentina beat New Zealand for the first time last year, and and that South Africa wasn't around to also maybe get a loss against Australia or Argentina, so it can be like.
And it's not our fault they drew against the Lions, if we're being honest. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. They're the ones that drew against the Lions. So when they were supposed to be, touted that they could win, and after winning the World Cup as well. So, just distasteful comments by that gentleman over there. So yeah, man. Look, all I'm saying is that we just got to build it up to that tour. And when these guys get you from game one, whoever they're playing against, whether that be if they play Griquas or Bola, they need to not be comfortable at all. They need to want to go back home, and by the time the first test comes around, we need to just, up front, just beat these guys, because, the line has been drawn in the sand, in my view. And yeah, like I said, all these teams, they need to lift they need to lift. It's close, because it's almost the end of May now, June, July, the series is here, so very little time to prepare. We need our guys firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I share the same sentiments. And
one more thing before we go, I dabbled a bit in. I was happy to see women's rugby. I watched Western Province women play against Boland women, and I won't lie, I was impressed by some of the players that I saw. I believe some of them are in the national women's team. I know those players have been working hard, building up to their World Cup. The number 9 from the Storm from Western Province, looked pretty good. The number 10 as well. They've got this right winger she's quick. I just don't know all their names, so I'll do my homework. Then the number 6, the number 8 from Boland, they impressed me. They carries appreciation of the laws, in the tackle situation. It was good. Western Province obviously outclassed them. It was a stronger team, but I think it's good to see women's rugby on television. Hopefully it can help us get better. It's a bit slow, but it's a start.
Yeah, man. Hopefully I can catch a few games as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it from us this week and our distasteful comments. We also have a few of our own, so not quite journalists, but maybe a few controversies here and there. And stay tuned for more. We'll be back next week with unfiltered comments and a bit of rugby talk. Time you switch pod. Out.
Thank you.